So 3 months ago, I moved my SIM card from my iPhone into an old flip phone that my grandma used to use, which she ironically doesn't need anymore because now she has a smartphone. So I've been with her 2020 Alcatel Go Flip 3 for 3 months now, and it's honestly been one of the best decisions I've ever made. So in this video, I wanted to share with you some of the things that have happened as a result of the switch and why I'm so happy that I did it. Okay, so the day I made the switch, I found this old flip phone in my grandma's electronic/cable cabinet, and I kind of went to sleep unsure if I should do it because I'm like, I didn't really prepare for this, but I couldn't fall asleep because I was so hyped thinking about this phone. And at the time, I was really interested in downgrading. Pretty much all of my social media platforms were like filled with downgrading content. So everything was bringing me towards taking that leap. That's the one thing that I guess is good about the algorithm is that it kind of gets into your mind and it shows you the aspirational identity that you want. You know what I mean? Like if you're looking at a lot of artist content, you probably want to be an artist. And if you're looking at a lot of downgrade content, you probably want to downgrade. So anyway, I found this old phone that resembled the perfect flip phone in my mind because it had no touchscreen. It had a few basic apps, like it has Google Maps, and then it had the, classic keyboard. So I couldn't fall asleep because I kept thinking about the phone. And then I got out of bed with no thoughts in my brain and I did the transition. And literally the second after I converted that SIM and I put my old iPhone into some storage bag, it truly felt like I had stepped into another world. As soon as the next day, I started to notice huge differences. I was doing my hair and I was giving myself a blowout, which, it takes some time, maybe like 30 minutes. So halfway through that process, I was getting a little tired and I wanted a break. And the first thing that came to my mind, of which I considered a break, would be to go and get my phone. But then I couldn't. There was nothing for me to check on the flip phone. Zero notifications. What am I going to do? Just click around on the settings? So I had to just sit there and sip on my tea as my break. That first day, it really showed me the amount of times that I would run to my phone whenever something boring happened. There was this meeting that I had to attend virtually and they were going over some benefit information that I already knew. And I jutted out of my chair trying to go to the kitchen to find my phone because I was like, I can just passively listen to this. But surprise, there was no iPhone, right? So things like that were confronting my behavior. The other thing was that I called my mom and I was talking to her, through the flip phone. And 2 times during that one call, I hung up on her because I was so used to, on my iPhone clicking the home screen and then going into another app as I was on the phone with somebody. So that behavior was so automatic that I tried to do it twice. And then I had to call back my mom and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm still getting used to this phone. But it also confronted me into the fact that I'm like, why am I being so rude? This is my mom. She's sharing what she did today. Why was I ever being so rude and not fully listening to this? So I started to be more attentive. And one of the other immediate effects was that my weekend felt like the longest weekend that I've ever had. I'm not even kidding when I say that on Saturday, I was checking my phone to make sure it was not already Sunday. And on Sunday, I was checking my phone to make sure it wasn't already Monday and I was supposed to be at work because I truly was in disbelief with how long my time felt. I had so much more time on my hands that I even felt boredom for the first time since probably pre-2020 before short form content came out and the algorithms became so much more sophisticated. And for a second, that actually made me feel frustrated with the whole thing. I was like, I kind of miss my phone in this moment. But that feeling went away. And now I've been feeling more and more of a disdain for short form content. And that extends both to, short form videos like Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, but it also extends towards short form content in the written sense, like the type of post you'll find on Twitter. Because I'm just so much more aware now of how much it scrambles up my brain. I've truly had this experience so many times that it's scary, but I will have thought of something that I needed to do on my computer, check my bank transaction or something, right? And then I would be like, okay, well, before I do that, let me just check YouTube real quick, whatever. Let me just make a stop on Instagram.com. And in looking at that content for even a few minutes, my mind would completely forget what I was actually trying to do on the computer. Like, I would have to pull back for a second and be like, what was the last thing I remember doing before I hopped on Instagram? And then I'd like peel my way back and figure out what I was trying to do. And I truly think that it's because the information overload of taking in so much random information from completely different categories that had no relation with your life that day just confuses your brain and like makes it confused on what to prioritize. So I'm really starting to hate the feeling of what feels like standing in front of a water hose of information that douses you at a rate that is greater than what your mind can process. And surprisingly, I'm starting to feel like I need it less and less. There is so much beauty in getting to know yourself and spending time with yourself that we deprive ourselves from over-consuming content and spending time with other people's voices instead. And if you're someone who's a creative, an artist, a writer, you need to clear the stream flowing into your mind from just information coming from the internet. And by information, I don't just mean, news. I mean anything. Instagram, YouTube videos, pictures, and give space for inspiration to sprout up by itself, for you to hear intuition, for you to connect with all of these faculties that are part of the innate human experience. And in my case, because now I take in less information and I'm spending more time hanging out with my own head, some really unexpected things have started to happen as a result of that. Like, one day I randomly got a flash in my head of like the most beautiful waterfall with like a Pegasus standing by it. And that was completely unprompted by anything that I watched. I was like, what the heck? I don't read any fantasy. Why did I just have the craziest fantasy visual? And then I'm like, oh yeah, because your mind is a content generator too. Like, that's normal. That's what's supposed to be happening. We are capable of coming up with the craziest things just through our imagination alone. We don't need to be looking at things that are AI generated, thinking they're cool, or using them to laugh when we have a gold mine of content in our own head that can be pulled just from our lives alone. So reviving my creativity, that's one of the things that has been happening. The other thing that I didn't expect was that a lot of my old memories are coming back up. Like things from first grade, things that I've completely forgotten about. I'm remembering them and it's beautiful. Like I was at the grocery store the other day and I saw that yellow apples were for sale. And they hardly ever have yellow apples. It's usually just red and green, right? And I remembered a memory of me when I was in the first grade and the teacher had us stand around the room based on what apple we liked. And she said, if you like red apples, go to the front of the room. If you like green apples, go to the back of the room. And if you like yellow apples, go to the window. And I was one of the only people that went to the window for yellow apples. And in my first grade head, I was like, wait, did I make a mistake? Why isn't there anyone here for yellow apples? And I ended up buying a whole bag of those yellow apples just so I can see why my childhood self thought those were the best apples. And they truly are. They're the sweetest ones that you can get. And those first grade kids probably, some of them never even had a yellow apple because the only apple that they serve in public school systems is that really gross, puffed out chest red apple, red delicious apple. But yeah, let me not go on a tangent about apples, but that was one of the memories that came up as a result of the newfound mental clarity and mental space. Instead of thinking about sound bites that I saw on Instagram that were trending, my mind has started to pull from other spaces. And the other thing that I didn't expect was that I've been having more dreams that are way more vivid and interesting than the ones I had before. Before, I would only recall my dream maybe like once a month. And that dream was just a stress-induced nightmare. But now I'm having dreams that are so much richer. And if you're interested, I actually wrote about some of these emotional dreams and memories that have come up on my Substack. And I'm pretty proud of that piece, especially the ending. I spent like over 10 hours writing that short little piece. So I'll link it in the description. But that actually flows into another thing, which is that for many years, I've been saying that I want to write, I want to improve my writing. I just love writing so much. Like, that is the art form that speaks to me the most. That is what moves me the most. But I've never gotten out of just journaling and writing loose, disconnected pieces. But since I ditched my smartphone, for the first time, I was able to get myself to write a full length piece about one topic. And ever since then, I've been working on my writing and fully sculpting out one idea, writing about one topic, and conveying my feelings in a way that feels true to me. So for the first time, I've actually been able to take that from just an idea of something that I want to do to something I'm actually working towards. And I truly don't think I could have ever brought myself to get to this point if I hadn't imposed the restrictions that I did. Like, if I hadn't found a way to block these social media websites on my computer, and if I hadn't downgraded, because visiting YouTube when you're in the middle of trying to write something completely messes up your concentration. And then when you go back to your writing, you have to start from scratch and like rebuild your momentum, rebuild your concentration, recall the idea that you were trying to convey. It messes it up so completely. And previously, when I had tried to write, that's what I was doing. I was constantly segmenting my attention and opening up different tabs, and it was completely sabotaging me. And overall, I just feel like I have a stronger sense of clarity. Like, for example, before I made the switch, I would try to wake up early so I can have more time to pursue some of my side projects. But often I just wake up with a vague idea that I need to be chasing a sense of productivity with these hours, but I didn't have a clear plan of like the best way to utilize this time. So oftentimes I just go back to sleep because I didn't have like a good reason to wake up. But now I'm more clear on what my goals are. Like, I know that if I wake up early tomorrow, I can use that time to do exactly one specific improvement on my side project, or I can use that time to read one specific chapter of a book. I'm just way more clear on things instead of chasing vague ideas like I was doing before. And as much as I want to just leave this video off on the positives, I feel like I have to mention that there have been some challenges that have come up with this. And it really is a lifestyle adjustment. You have to change a lot of things about the way you do things in order to adjust with not having a connection to every single application or service available at your fingertips all the time. So, like, for example, actually, when I made the switch, I was just so excited to do it, and I really wanted to do it. I didn't do a lot of pre-planning. I just kind of jumped the gun, and then I was like, whatever. I still have my smartphone that can connect to Wi-Fi, so if there's anything that I need to figure out after the fact, so things like group chats, I still use WhatsApp for some of my conversations, but I'm able to just access it through the web browser. But to do that conversion, you have to use your smartphone to scan a QR code and authorize it. And then like a few weeks later, it asked me to do that again. So that's to say that my smartphone is still around. Like, I still have it tucked away, but without the SIM card, it does essentially function like an iPad. And then for things like QR codes, I do have to take extra steps. Like, for example, I was returning a product, and in order to return it, they send you a QR code that you scan at the register. So to work around that, I actually, on my flip phone, I'm able to connect to Bluetooth. So I was able to send that QR code as an image to the flip phone, and then I just showed them the image of the QR code through the flip phone, and they did not expect that. They're like, oh, wow, that's actually really good quality for what that is. And I was like, yeah, well, I sent it through Bluetooth. Because that's the other thing. The camera on the flip phone, it takes pictures, but if you're trying to take a picture of a document or like a receipt, it's not going to happen. It's really hard to see the words and get the words to come through. But if somebody sends you a picture of a document, you can like zoom in around it and you can make out the words. But you really can't rely on it for its camera other than to take like weird liminal space pictures. So I do carry a camera with me when I know I want to be taking pictures. But yeah, overall, there's a lot of lifestyle adjustments that you have to make. I could make a whole video about it, and I think I will, just so that I can give somebody who's thinking about making the transition a kind of survival guide. But like, for example, one of the other things is QR concert tickets, right? Like a lot of the times when you go to a show, they're just scanning tickets on your phone to let you in. So when I had bought a ticket to see a concert, I actually did some pre-planning in advance, and I reached out to them via email and I asked them to send me a copy of my tickets because I don't have a smartphone, so I don't have access to the app. Because the way that this vendor had their thing set up was that even if you go on their website, you're not able to see you're not able to see your concert tickets at all. It just tells you that you need to install the app in order to see your tickets. But when I had reached out to them via email, they just asked me some identity verification questions, and then they had no problem sending me the tickets early. And then I printed them out and I just walked up with the QR code printed on paper, which was not a problem. Or like otherwise I could have just sent a screenshot through Bluetooth to my phone as well. But yeah, those are some examples of the extra steps that I've had to take. But to me, sacrificing the conveniences of a smartphone is completely worth it when I compare it to how much I've benefited from the process overall. Like, even when I just think about it analytically, like previously at my best, I was still spending 2 hours a day on my phone, right? But now I literally forget my phone at the bottom of my bag. There are days where I'm like, wait, I have not checked that phone. I got to see if somebody texted me, if my mom called me. And being so detached from my phone is worth spending like 30 minutes once or twice a month to figure out how to work around something that comes up because I don't have a smartphone. Like, to me, that's the cost benefit analysis. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave off the video here. But if you're someone who is thinking about downgrading, I highly encourage you to do it. The flip phone that I changed to is an Alcatel Go Flip 3. It's valued at $40 on Amazon. And if you still have a physical SIM card on your phone, you could change it. And then if you don't like the process, you could change it back. It's not something that you have to commit to forever. And it's not an expensive process either. It's way, way cheaper than if you were to upgrade your current smartphone. And if you're interested in downgrading to a lesser capacity, you don't have to feel like going to a flip phone is the only thing that you can do. Like, there are many ways to take the steps, and there are many things that you can do. This journey is yours. So I will fill the description with both my recommendations for flip phones if you're looking to downgrade, and I will also put some steps that you can take to downgrade your iPhone if you have one. So yeah, check that out if you're interested. And if you made it to this part of the video, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me talk, and I'd love to hear what you think and where you're at in your downgrading journey. So let me know in the comments.